Hello and welcome back to the NFL DFS Slate Breakdown for Week 11. I'm your host, Tyler Weeman, and before we get into it, come join us at LineStar. We do have a free 7-day trial through the app stores, through Apple or Google App Store. Download it, give us a free trial there, or you can come to our website, linestarapp.com, and get the free trial action through that way. Now, let's dive into this slate. We have 11 games today. Our highest team totals or implied totals. We got Arizona, San Francisco, Bears, and Vikings. We got Pitt and Cincinnati, the Rams and Seahawks. And then those are all 48.5. So a slew of 48.5s. Then we got the Bills and Bucks at 46.5. And then Denver and KC at 44.5. So a ton of different teams that we're really considering for stacks this week. And with that many teams, there's likely that one is going to go for, 30 plus points. So stacking is going to be key this week. It's just how do we get there? And with so many teams and so many good teams with high totals, we have some real interesting ceiling spots as well. The one team that we did not, or one game we didn't talk about there, but will be one of the faster paced games of the week is this Cleveland and Baltimore game. The pace will be up there. There's going to be a decent amount of plays. So there is a little bit of interest just due to that. It does raise the floor, even though we only have a 38.5 total. Now, let's dive in position by position, starting with the quarterback position. Highest owned is J.J. McCarthy on DraftKings at 5,200. Now, I don't know if I can fully get on board with this one. Look, the price is okay. The price is good. I get it. I understand why people want to go there. This Bears defense has been one you want to pick on for most of the season. It's 48.5 total. They're 3.5 favorites. We got a 4-star alert score on him. Over the last 9 games, Bears are allowing 2.2 passing touchdowns per game and a ton of passing yards. So I get it. My issue here is J.J. McCarthy just really has not looked that good. Put up a dud last week versus Baltimore. Put up a dud versus Detroit. Had one good quarter versus the Bears. Awful versus Atlanta before getting hurt. I just don't love what I am seeing on tape for J.J. McCarthy. And with that, I have a hard time getting there. Over the last 4, though, this Bears defense has given up 294 yards per game and 1.8 touchdowns, ranking 28th. On the season, they're ranking 31st. There's plenty of reasons to get there. I personally am probably going elsewhere. He's super chalky. I think there's more spots that I like. I don't mind getting some, but there's other places I'd rather go than a 15% owned J.J. McCarthy. Justin Herbert coming in at 6,300, 3.4x. We have a 5-star alert score, and he is coming in at 13% owned. I think there's plenty of reasons to go to Herbert. One of the aspects is if he is optimal, it's probably him bringing 2 pass catchers with him. And you got a couple of them to go to. You got Quentin Johnson, you have Gadsden, you got McConkey, Allen. Hey, you could even throw Trey Harris in there, especially if Quentin Johnson is out. He is technically questionable right now. However, he did practice Friday, so I would say he is likely to go. If he's out, you can throw a value Trey Harris in there. Now, Herbert has been great this season, and he's in a good spot. Jacksonville, a little bit of a pass funnel D, and teams have been able to pass against them. They're ranking 30th. Herbert is too good of a QB to not dice up this defense. I don't mind going there. The only issue I have with this one, can Jacksonville do enough to score points and push the Chargers? I just don't see this game as being one of the outlier scores that you had to have this week. And that's my only reason I'm not super on Herbert. I get why you want to do it, but look, this game versus the Colts, they only scored 24, but they were down huge and had to throw a ton. 37 versus Minnesota, 27 versus Tennessee, 27 versus KC. Now, he can absolutely go up and put up high 20s, but I don't feel like I have to have Herbert. I don't mind some. Not going overboard on him either. Next, Aaron Rodgers, 5,400. There's just other value spots I like. This is one that could go nuts, though. The one thing I have to say about that, though, is the last couple weeks, that's exactly what people have been saying. And the Steelers D has been a little bit better. I mean, Indianapolis won, but they held that offense in check for a little while. The Steelers D, that is. Or sorry, the Colts won. They held the Colts, or Steelers won. They held the Colts to only 20 points. Last week they held the Chargers to 25. I don't feel like I have to get to Aaron Rodgers. He's 5,400. I'll let other people go with him. Super chalky. The other aspect is like, who do you want to stack with him? You know, you have 3 tight ends to choose from. You got Jaylen Warren, who is in a great spot. You want to go RB versus Cincinnati, but he doesn't have a huge ceiling. DK Metcalf has a ceiling, but he's so hit or miss. And then you have 3 tight ends, and Cincinnati's been giving it up to the tight end, but like you got 3 of them to choose. So stacking with them's hard. I just don't love the spot. Next, Josh Allen. This is the 13% owned. He is down to 7K. This is the cheapest he's been in a long, long time. He was 7,100 versus the Jets, but outside of that, he's generally mid sevens or higher. And Josh Allen is a total beast. One aspect here is we really haven't had Super Josh very much this year. He hasn't had to rush that much. And I think this is game one that he may have to. The Buffalo Bills may struggle to get a running game going. And if that is the case, then Super Josh has to come out. It means a game where he has to throw for 300 plus yards. He has to go for 40, 50 yards rushing and be used around the goal line. One of those games that really could beat up your quarterback if he wasn't an absolutely giant human. All in all, there are absolutely paths to Josh Allen. And while I do think most people end up paying down at quarterback this week, paying up, you could get a little bit different. And Josh Allen, you could do a lot worse. Another aspect is while Dalton Kincaid is a very key part of this offense, and missing him hurts, it shrinks the target tree. And that's one of the things that is so hard with Josh Allen is you never know who to use and stack with him. Well, you have one less option, so it obviously makes the other pieces rise a little bit in the ability to stack with them. Now, other pivots we got here, Jacoby Brissett, 4,900. I think this is a wildly low price. This man keeps putting up 21 plus. And then with no Harrison, it's like Trey McBride is a pretty much lock. You could just combine both of those guys. McBride is a little lower price than he should be. You're looking at what, 11K for a 50 burger possibly, or more. So I like the spot with Jacoby Brissett. And then if you want to throw in another Michael Wilson or Greg Dortch, it's a real cheap addition, and it gives you plenty of room to get upside elsewhere. Jameis Winston, 4,600. You got to consider him on DraftKings. On FanDuel, where he's a lot more expensive, I don't like him quite as much. On Yahoo, where he's the bare minimum 20, I think he's super interesting. The thing with Jameis, he's going to throw it. But the Giants have no neighbors, obviously. Darius Slayton is now out. This wide receiver core is in shambles. Now you got Jameis Winston that just wants to sling the ball. And all he's got is Wan'Dale Robinson, Tyrone Tracy, Theo Johnson, Bellinger, and then who knows who's going to be active for the Giants on Sunday. Ray McLeod is an obvious one to definitely consider too. But getting back to Jameis, this man made the Browns interesting last year. 29 versus Baltimore, 29 real points, 28 fantasy points. Went for 39 fantasy points versus Denver. We saw some real big games from him last year. Now, he's going to throw some interceptions, so I think you need to consider the Packers D also, but there is real upside here. And at 4,600, you can definitely go with him. You can also throw in, say, Wan'Dale Robinson, bring it back with Josh Jacobs if you want, and you're not breaking the bank for that stack, and you're giving yourself upside. So I don't hate going that way. Last but surely not least, I want to talk about Sam Darnold at 5,700. This Seattle game or his team really hasn't been pushed at all this season. The one game they were pushed was the game where Darnold goes for 32. The game was 35-38. We have an LA Rams team here. While their defense is good, they are a strong defensive team. You got Matt Stafford, who is absolutely willing to sling it and has been slinging it. If this game goes into a little bit more of a shootout, now it's a divisional game, so the variance in this game, the volatility is extremely wide, as you never really know what's going to happen in one of these divisional games. I do think there is the outlier situation where we're getting one of these Tampa Bay-like games where both quarterbacks are just slinging it, and we got real high upside. And we haven't had a game outside of this one where JSN has had to stay involved through the entire game. So the upside here is tremendous. I've said the Rams are a solid defense. They're only ranked, opponent ranked 10th, but Darnold has been very good. 251 yards a game, almost 2 touchdowns a game. And he has 2 games where he's had 4 touchdowns. They also have Rashid Shaheed, which could take off the top of that Rams D and really just accelerate this pace of play. So I think Darnold is very interesting. I didn't pick Stafford just because I kind of would rather the Darnold side of it, honestly. Stafford has been absolutely amazing, and he's had, 3+ touchdowns in so many games. But if you remember, there's been, the last couple years really where he has struggled to get those games. He's now had 3 or 4. His price is way up. I think we can get some of that upside with Darnold at a way cheaper price. And I would rather JSN than Puka. So I think Darnold going super low owned is pretty interesting. Now, let's check out quarterback on FanDuel. McCarthy, Stafford, Rodgers. And this is what I was saying about Stafford. This run he's been on, wild. 375-3, 389-3, 182-5. Weirdest stat line ever. 281-4, 280-4. It's going to be very hard to keep up that efficiency with touchdowns. I mean, Stafford is one of the best in the game. If anybody can do it, he is definitely one of the ones that could. But I think it is far more likely for him to come back down into the 280-2 than it is for him to kind of keep this pace going. Well, this is a shootout potential game, so there's the possibility of this going. I just think in that shootout type game, I'd rather the cheaper quarterback option with the wide receiver in JSN than I'd rather have than Puka. I love Puka. He is an absolute beast, but having him and Stafford makes it the lineup construction a lot harder because of how expensive both of those pieces are. All right, let's get back into running back now on DraftKings. We got Jaylen Warren, 28%, Josh Jacobs, and CMC. My one thing with Warren, I think he's in an absolutely amazing spot. The Steelers have been giving it up, the Bengals ranked 32 versus running back, giving up 141 rushing yards, 44 receiving yards, a touchdown a game. There is so much you can say about how great this spot is. But think we're overreacting here a little bit. Gainwell didn't get carries last week, but he played 50% of the snaps. He is still heavily involved, and I think that's being overlooked. The other aspect, except for this one game against Cincinnati, where he goes for 23, there's not much of a ceiling here. And he's 6.1K. I mean, at 6.1K, 23 isn't going to win you a tournament. It's going to be a nice piece. But I don't think we need to go super heavy on Jaylen Warren. I'm going to be playing some of him. I am not saying fade him. We are at a 5-star alert score. Cincinnati has been awful. It's a great matchup. But as a game theory play, I think this is one where you can get a little bit different. I don't think we need to play Jaylen Warren. Next, we got Josh Jacobs, 7,800, in a great spot versus these New York Giants. And with Jameis Winston's, passion, his ability to throw interceptions, it can make short fields for the Green Bay Packers and just more touchdown upside for Josh Jacobs. So you got to have some interest. He obviously has some ability to put up 29 and 30s. He's done 32 twice this year. But at his price tag, he's got to do that to be a must own. And one of the things we generally don't see out of him is much receiving volume. And in a game where it is most likely to be one-sided, I wouldn't see a ton of receiving volume going here. So it's another spot where at 7,800, if I have a little bit of him, I'm fine, but I'm not going to go overboard on him. I would just rather pay a little more and go to CMC, Christian McCaffrey. A 5-star alert score on this spot. It's one that, in 2023, he had 52 and 45 fantasy points. Earlier this year, he had 24. And I would say 24 is probably on the lower side of what he is capable in this matchup. And I think CMC is, as far as the pay up at running back, your spot to go. There are a slew of 6 and 5K guys that we can play. I don't think we need to go to a super chalky Josh Jacobs. CMC is in a great spot, a little bit more. I'd rather just go to him. Now, let's get into some pivot action. We got Woody Marks at 5,400. I think he's a great play in this spot versus Tennessee. It is the spot where in week 4, we thought it was his coming out party and he was just going to set rolling. Now, kind of has, but Baltimore, he wasn't used very much. And then ever since then, it's just been solid, but not amazing performances. Well, last week versus Jacksonville, he came out and got 80% of the snaps. It appears that it's his job now, and he's in a great spot that he absolutely torched since Tennessee earlier this year. Give me some Woody Marks. I think he's in a great spot. Next, we got Chase Brown, 5,700. While everybody is going to Warren, who is higher owned, we have Chase Brown in a solid spot, and Samaje Perine is hurt. Now, the biggest issue with Brown this year has been Samaje. Brown was at like 80-90% snaps last year. This year, it's 50 to 70, and his work has totally fallen off. Now, that workload is back up. It's in an interesting spot versus Pittsburgh. I think you could do worse than going with Chase Brown at 5,700. He's very, very interesting to me. Rico Dowdle at 6,800. If you remember, Carolina Panthers absolutely dominated Atlanta in week 3. While the Falcons are likely, I've kind of circled this matchup because they got so dominated. I think Carolina has a clear way they want to win right now, and that is run the ball down somebody's throat. They have a good offensive line. Atlanta is a little undersized as far as their defense, and over the last 4, they've given up 160.5 rushing yards per game and 1.5 touchdowns, ranked 32nd. I think Dowdle at 6,800 is in a smash spot, and I'm going to have a bunch of them. We got to bring up RJ Harvey at 5,400. J.K. Dobbins is out. It is a very tough spot versus a Chiefs team that really hasn't been giving up much to the running back, but he is expected to get the lion's share of the workload, and that alone with his explosiveness is something to bring up. Then at 5,800, we got to talk about DeAndre Swift. My man has got it going. 29, 24, 15, 15 since week 6. He's in an interesting spot versus Minnesota, who's given up 103.7 yards a game. Giving it up in the reception game a little bit as well. I think you could do worse than going with DeAndre Swift, who obviously has some ceiling, has shown, mid-20s at 5,800. And I don't mind that play either. Running back on FanDuel, Harvey, Warren, Jacobs, CMC, all going high owned. We haven't talked about Travis Etienne at 6,800 on FD. I don't mind to get here. I do worry about the upside. Chargers been solid against running back, but he's been doing decently. The upside is the only reason I would not be going there. Now, wide receiver, high owned, Michael Wilson, 3,800. Look, I am fading him in the prop market. I just don't think he's that good of a wide receiver altogether. I don't think he's that good at gaining targets. He only has a 12% target rate this year. Now, without Harrison, that is surely to go up. So I have some interest at 3,800. He's going to get targets. It's just, can he do anything with them? It is a good spot. This Giants defense have not been great versus the pass. And they're going to just be trying to key in on McBride because he will be the focal point of both the offense and the defense trying to stop Arizona this week. So I think Michael Wilson at 3,800 is fine, but I'm also absolutely willing to ditch him and go to Greg Dortch at 3,300, who is likely to step into the WR2 role. And every time he's got a chance, he's pretty much done something with it. Versus San Francisco last year, he had 2 touchdowns. Versus New England, 3 for 60. There is a path. He has some upside. He is just small and a little undersized, but he's done well when given his chance. Next, we got Jamar Chase at 8,500. My man has just crushed Pittsburgh. 41 earlier this season, 26, 21 last year, 12 and 2023, 32 in 2022. He apparently has the Steelers circled every year because he does very well, and he's just been targeted at an insane rate with Flacco. Hard to not want to have some Chase. JSN 8,900, 20.89 point projection. He has a 5-star alert score. I absolutely love JSN this season. They have not needed JSN all that much just because they keep putting up so many points and are blowing out other teams. Last week versus Arizona, he only played 42%. Versus Washington, he played 67%. Week 3, he played 49, 67 versus Pitt. He's had all of these games where he just hasn't had to play very much. And with that, his scoring has been a little low. And what's a little low for JSN? It's 20. This man has been a beast. This week 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's Tampa Bay. Yeah, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Houston. He played 80 to 90% of the snaps. And it's 30 burgers. Versus the Rams, I would expect he's back up to 80, 90% of the snaps because the game stays a little close. This is a highly contested divisional matchup that is going to be key down the stretch here, and they need it. They're going to need this one. I would expect very big things for JSN, and he is my clear-cut wide receiver 1 this week. I would have him over Jamar Chase. Now, let's get into some pivot action here. Emeka Egbuka. If you're playing Josh Allen, I think you kind of have to play Egbuka. He is probably the path to Buffalo needing to score, needing Josh Allen to go super Josh. And I mean, man has huge ceiling. He keeps doing it. 27 last week, 34 versus Tampa, 33, 20 or 23, 24. The ceiling's there. I'm fine to go some against him. Drake London. It's another guy that needs some volume. And Carolina has shown they can score against this defense. And if they're able to put up some points, if Dowdle gets it going, it means targets going to London. And that's the big thing with London. He just needs the volume. The volume's there. He looks good. I don't mind a little bit of Drake London. Ricky Pearsall looks like he will be back. And before he left, 18, 9, and 23. He's in a interesting game. He's at a lower price. He has a big upside. I am absolutely willing to go to Pearsall in his first game back. He's been out long enough that I think he's probably good to go. And he said earlier this week that he does feel healthy. 7,900 Rashee Rice, 23, 26, 19 in his 3 games back. And that's with a little bit lower of snap counts on Rice. He got up to 82% in this Buffalo game. He's now had a bye, played 3 games. I would expect him to get up to 90% in this game. It's also a close divisional game. And KC, if they have any hopes of winning the division, they will need to beat the Broncos here. So I think Rashee Rice is a very interesting play with a Patrick Surtain less Broncos. Another aspect of that is without Surtain, they play less aggressive, a little more zone, a little more keep it in front of you. And with that, Rice generally eats. And 4,900, I think we need to consider Worthy. The whole reason is he's still being targeted a ton. He's just not getting it done. He's averaging 5.6 targets per game and 1 rush per game. So 6.6 chances at touching the ball, and we know his speed, his upside is there. They've had the bye week. They can work on that deep ball a little bit more. I think there's some paths to some worthy success there. And you got to talk about Wan'Dale Robinson, 5,500. He's really the only wide receiver there. It's him and Ray McCloud with Winston, who is absolutely willing to sling it. Now, without Slayton, without Neighbors, Robinson could take a role that goes a little bit more down the field. There's also new coaching, so that's also a factor in it that could take the role a little bit down the field. But he is a good receiver, and he can get it done, probably underpriced without all of those guys. And wide receiver on FanDuel, we got Dobbs, Michael Wilson, JSN, Chase. We covered all of them. Dobbs at 6,300. I have a hard time getting there. If Giants are able to score, there is a little bit of interest, and that's my issue there. Getting on over to tight end, Kyle Pitts coming at the highest owned, and Trey McBride at 6,300. I think 6,300, Trey McBride is absolutely willing to not only play in the tight end spot, but also the flex. Look at these scores: 31, 17, 29, 21. Hey, at 6,300, you would like that from a wide receiver, not just a tight end. So I think Trey McBride is extremely interesting this week, and I'm going to be playing a ton of him. Theo Johnson at 4,100. The man is an athletic freak, and Jameis Winston is chucking him the ball. There's also less pass catching targets. I think it's a very interesting play to go to Theo Johnson at 4,100. Don't mind it. I don't mind some Kyle Pitts, but I think he's going a little over-owned. 4,600, Arondé Gadsden, since he took over. 8 targets, 8, 5, 5, 6. He is healthy. He's good to go. And Jacksonville has got crushed versus the tight end. 31 in the league. I think he is my favorite target of all of the Charger pass catchers. He has just as much upside as them as well. So at 4,600, you're saving yourself some money and getting access to some real solid upside there. So I don't hate that one whatsoever. And then I want to talk about Loveland. Loveland came out and played 60% of the snaps last week with Kmet there. I think we're going into Loveland season. Kmet is going to start taking a back seat. The man can make some plays. I think there's some upside here at 3,600 versus Minnesota. They haven't been great versus tight end. And the Bears are going to have to figure out a way to get rolling versus a tricky Minnesota defense. Getting on over to tight end on FanDuel, Kittle. Oh, I didn't talk about Kittle on DraftKings. I like him as well in this spot. It's just I would way prefer McBride over Kittle, just due to no Harrison and the role. But there's a very, very solid ceiling in Kittle. And if you go Kittle and McBride, I know it's paying up a lot there for tight end, but that 2 tight end build will probably be super, super low end owned, and interesting little leverage on everybody playing that game too. All right, let's talk defense. We got Texans, we got Seahawks. I think Texans are the obvious one here versus Tennessee. I don't hate going with the Titans at 2,300 versus Mills. It's not that wild. I'm not probably touching the Rams or Seahawks. I think both offenses are too good. They're both underpriced, so I get it if you need to go to a cheap defense, but I think I would just rather go to 2,300 Titans in that spot. I don't hate going to the Chargers at 2,800, and the other one, Packers at 3,600 if you want to pay up. I think you got Jameis Winston. While he can put up points, he's also likely to throw at least one interception. He can give up a pick six. I think there's past 2 huge fantasy upside there, especially if Winston gets some steam because he's so cheap and people are trying to, put Puka and JSN together with, another couple stars. So that's going to do it for us today, guys. I hope you have a good one and make some money on this slate. And please come join us at LineStar. 7-day trial for free. Why not come check us out? Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Do all that stuff. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.